Welcome to Spirit Call Out, where Spirit delivers personal messages meant to reach you. Join me, Dr. Sean Marie Higgins, as I bring forth a message right now, along with teachings and guidance for everyone. This next message might just be for you. Hi there, this is Sean Marie Higgins here for another episode of Spirit Call Out. Spirit Call Out is where I call messages out to you from Spirit. This is a continuation of the last two episodes of Spirit Call Out, episodes 13 and 14, titled The Neurosurgical Angel, episode 13, and Healing with Crystals, Meditation, and Voice, which is episode 14. You will find my sketch of this neurosurgical angel spirit on my website, osteopathicwell.com. However, it has recently come to my attention that the episodes didn't load properly onto my website. So when you went on there and clicked, you probably got no response. So I will be having that redone by a professional this week. So you will have those sketches and transcripts up. If you go to my website and click on the episode of Spirit Call Out, you'll get to a sketch. If you click on that sketch, it'll be linked to the actual audio podcast. So hopefully all of those will be linked up for you. And on the audio podcast site is the transcript. I am still in the process of relaunching the new website and Substack, so I will announce those when they are launched as well. Today, I want to talk a bit about memories. Our neurosurgical angel relayed her memories to me as a communication style during her first meeting with me. I hope you remember that from episode 13. I explained in that episode how she did that. I introduced the concept, but I said that I would go back and lay that out for you in future episodes, and that's sort of what I'm doing today. Of course, I have to do this information in waves, meaning I go through all the information, I get to the level that I get it, and then when I go back over it again, I go through the same information, the same topics, the same concepts, but deeper. And I keep overlaying and underlaying the same concepts with deeper, more dimensionality each time I go through them. So they're very important each time I open up a concept that you thought you heard about before. It is going to go deeper if you hear it again. So keep listening. Also, listen to episode 14, where the neurosurgical angel brings forth a healing technique using crystals. And in episode 13, she shared a healing technique with meditation and voice. You'll also find these healing techniques in easy step-by-step PDF formats, or at least some sort of a transcript format if I can't upload a PDF. Now, this is really important. I did a class with the Shift Network in 2025 about biological mediumship, which is a psychic and healing practice, all based on the merging of energy and biology. During the introductory hour-long workshop that I did for that class, I talked about memories as well as a way that I connect with spirit in the first place. That's just how spirit was teaching me all along. I find it so serendipitous that this neurosurgical angel brought forth another way to use memories as well. She says that memories are the key to transformation and healing because they are the energy remnants of what was, because they now exist as pure vibration, pure energy. Yet they still exist, so we can easily correct life regrets, recall and reiterate healing through positive memories, and so on. Through remembering, we have much power. Just like PTSD, people are traumatized by memories and their bodies relive physiologically, biologically, mentally, physically, spiritually. They relive those physiological actions that were taking place in their body at the time the true event occurred just by remembering the event or having something trigger the memory of that event. We can do the same thing in a healthy way through joyful memories. It's just not as wow. It's just not as startling because it's something we love. It's easy to slide into. It's a downhill ride into joy. It's more startling and ruffling when we are triggered into a traumatic memory. So I want to train your brain to have joyful memories of spirit. That way it will transform your biology to recreate joyful neurochemicals and positive healing cascades of biological reactions in your body when you do mediumship. Just by the act of doing mediumship, if you continuously do it by recalling a joyful memory, then the recalling of the joy will recall that action in your body, and that will happen every time you do mediumship or try to communicate with a spirit. Keep it positive. It won't always stay positive, but keep it positive at the beginning and let it roll out how it needs to. When I say it may not be positive, what I mean is sometimes we may have healing or resolution, which can feel sad, it can feel nostalgic, it can feel bad in the moment when we detox emotionally, but it still came from joy, from love, from goodness. I'm going to teach you today what I've always done and what she obviously agrees with because she's bringing it up again and then giving another layer of memory communication on top of that. I'm going to share with you a technique that is recalling loving memories in order to draw forth loved ones who have passed on, both animals, even trees and plants, but mostly animals and human beings. We will have to revisit memories again, though, in order to explore more intricate communication styles using memories. But for now, we simply must learn to use memories to call in spirit. This is the first step because we are going to be creating a neurological network. We don't want to have to recreate that network. We want to, very first thing, right off the bat, create a neurological network based in recalling loving memories. Now, I'm not asking you to create a scenario in your mind that's loving because that didn't actually happen. So it has a different energy density than the energy of an actual memory of something that actually happened. Memories have more biological effect on us than just thinking about positive scenarios and positive thoughts. So the memory is very important. This stepwise process must be done in this manner in order to form the biological, neurological networks required to strengthen the skill of mediumship, of telepathy, of intuition, of psychic ability, of inner knowing, and making decisions for your life and knowing what is right for you. That's intuition. So, this requires new neurological connections, and we sprout them with this technique. That's later on in the episode. So, I'm going to bring together two realms for you that we often see as sometimes somewhat distinct. One is communicating with the other side or spirits, and the other, our actual biology. That's biological mediumship. It brings together spirit and biology, the act of doing mediumship and communicating with spirit with our biology. The greatest mediumship skills of all are those that we perfect in communication with the cellular intelligence of our own bodies. Communicating with our own cells is very similar to communicating with spirit. All right, now a little background is necessary here to bring in the biological mediumship aspect of all of this because the language of memory is part of that. Therefore, many of you will already know what I'm going to say, and that's that I'm an osteopathic physician. I've been in practice for over 20 years. What goes along with the kind of osteopathic treatments that I do is mediumship. So I'll describe to you the process of how I came to communicate with spirits during my healing sessions in my practice, because this kind of draws us into the biological mediumship angle of what it is that I do, which will take us into the use of memories and the use of cellular intelligence in order to create the communication between spirit. Over time, the spirits began showing me what was happening in the body while I was working on the patients. And that varied between whether or not the spirit was actually working on the body with me or if I was working on the body alone. I always feel a biological tissue change when I'm working on patients. I feel bones moving, tissues restructuring under my fingers. But when spirit starts to channel through me, there's something deeper that happens to the tissue. And then something biological happens to me. And I can feel it so much more strongly now than I did at the beginning. I'm sensing the biological change in the patient's body as spirit is channeling through me. And I'm feeling a biological change in my own body as that's happening. And it is always healing. Oftentimes, the patients will even exclaim something on the table, and it will correlate with something that spirit just did. Most of them are very pleasantly surprised when they leave with also messages from their loved ones. Now, just hearing from me relaying a message from a loved one changes their biology. And I know that because they start to cry. And that alone starts a cascade of beautiful, loving biological reactions in the body, just that instantaneous biological reaction of crying. Just from hearing me say, "Do you have a deceased brother? And this is what he looks like, this is his name, and this is what he said." Now imagine being on the table and having me say that to them while the spirit is still talking to me, real time. Then I feel an even stronger change. Sometimes I do tell them while they're on the table. Sometimes I tell them after the visit. But normally when they first come in, they don't know, but they come back for more of that. And oftentimes I'll see people now just for mediumship.
I imagine there must be some special reason why deceased loved ones are actually better at working with somebody's body and patterns than other beings.
Almost always, this isn't always, but almost always when I'm healing, I'm almost always greeted by their crossed over loved ones and sometimes very high spirit guides. And the reason for that is because a crossed over loved one is someone they already know and trust, and it can give them validation. And the simple awareness of the validation of a spiritual afterlife and that their loved one is there safe and loving, just that has an instantaneous healing reaction in the body. Just that awareness, it changes their whole life. It plants a seed that ripples throughout the rest of their whole life once they're aware of that, and then once they experience it. So almost always it's someone they know, and it's almost always something that might not even be something important, such as a man showing up, showing me his football shirt with the number on it. And I'm like, this is weird because you just met me, but there's a bald guy here as a spirit showing me a football shirt with this number on it. And then she says, that's my uncle who just died 2 weeks ago when we buried him in his football jersey. And it basically brought her to tears. That just set a whole cascade of conversation about their relationship and how much she loved him and that he's loving her from the other side and with her. We don't feel alone when we know spirit is there, especially ones we love and already know and trust. This has a very significant and powerful healing effect on their body. There are two rhythmic biological actions in the body that stimulate the cleansing waters of tears. One is crying, and the other is laughing. They're the two spectrums of emotional sentiment, the two ends of the straw, so to speak, crying and laughing. They both cause a rhythmic pulsation of bouts of vocalization with breath, and both can bring the person to tearing, the cleansing of the waters of the tears. And tears are salt, so it's the ocean within our bodies that's cleansing. So let's say, for just for analogy's sake, when a patient is with me, I'm the medium between a spirit and that patient. However, in everyday life, our own body's cells are the mediums between spirit and us. And the cell is the real medium here. In biological mediumship, the reason why I feel this is so important to teach is because through this process of doing it, spirit has taught me that the human species is going through an evolutionary transformation currently. And this is at a different pace for each person, of course, but as a whole, we are working through a biological and genetic evolutionary leap. And what this is, it is the lightening of the physical body as it merges into a more spiritual composition, so that intuition, psychic abilities, and mediumship become natural, socially accepted parts of our everyday waking life. Our bodies do this, they're doing it anyway, and the cells are mediating that. Once we get our minds and our awareness on board, then we have all three aspects of our being, body, mind, and spirit, all on board with the same evolutionary process. And it makes it so much easier. And it helps enhance it and quicken the process for you individually. There are specific points in the body. I call them the intuitive brains. where there are collections of nerves that actually reach into the energy bodies. We have energy centers or chakras. We also have something else called plexi, which are bundles of nerves that are actually situated right at the areas of the energy centers or chakras. These are the physical manifestations of the energetic centers of neurological connections with spirit world and intuitive abilities. So the body does have certain centers, but the first step is getting on board with the process of reaching loved ones that we already know so that we become aware that we can cross that bridge neurologically to the spirit world. And when we do that, the first thing that happens is that systemic cascades of healing chemical reactions. That's the first step, such as in decreasing inflammation, like an anti-inflammatory effect, or an immune boosting effect, or a dopamine producing effect, like which is a happy neurotransmitter, like serotonin or dopamine or oxytocin. We get surges of happy neurotransmitters and anti-inflammatory chemicals in the body. And that gives us a systemic healing reaction. Once we do that, which we're going to do in the course, we're going to do it in a stepwise fashion where first we get whole body on board, and then we go into specific nerve centers. And then over the progression of recruiting these different parts of the body, then you'll feel it all come together. It's just such a beautiful process. But first, we always want to focus on the systemic reaction for the whole body. Because of my work and what I've experienced, the best way to get on board first thing with this evolutionary process of crossing that bridge biologically and neurologically between human and spirit is to connect with your crossed over loved ones, which can be friends, animals, family members, etc., by using loving memories. The best memories would be the ones of joy and laughter, because joy is the highest healing frequency for the human body. The reason why we want to connect with spirit using joy is because it stimulates those happy neurochemicals in the body. When we think of a memory or something that's happened in the past with a loved one that's now deceased, the joy of the actual occurrence of that actual time is relived. When you recall the memory, that biological reaction within you is recalled in your body, the same one that happened when it actually occurred in real life. So that's why we want to recall joyful memories, because memories are actually things. They don't go away just because they happened and they're in the past. Otherwise, we wouldn't remember them. And let's say post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, is literally can make people have flashbacks and actually think they're back at the actual event that traumatized them. And they definitely can have some very, unpleasant symptoms just from having a memory of something traumatic in the past. We can do the same thing with joyful memories. Recalling that joy stimulates those happy neurotransmitters in our brain because it's in a memory, which is still a thing. And if we call the whole scenario and the whole memory, it reenacts that in our body just as if it happened just now to some degree. And the more we do this, the stronger it is. So joyful memories are healing. The other reason I like joy and why I think joy is necessary in calling in spirit is because of a vibrational phenomena in physics called sympathetic resonance. After a living body, material body, has crossed over into the spiritual realm, it is now existing in more of a vibrational form, a pure energy form, one that is more close to God's source energy. The laws of vibration and harmonic resonance is that any vibration will stimulate another vibration that is like it. So if you want to recall your loved ones in spirit form, you need to recall love and joy, because that's what they're going to hear. It's not personal, it's math. They will hear you louder if you recall joy. If you think of them and their face Let's say my dad, because he's been teaching me a lot. He passed away in 2008. He's passed away, but if I think of his face, I can feel him. I can feel him now. But if I recall a memory with him, he's attentive to me and he's having that with me again. And I might tear up talking about this actually, because it's relived and he hears it stronger when I recall a memory of joy, because joy is what he is now. He literally is pure vibration. And the vibration he is now is closer to that of God's source, which is joy and love. So when we vibrate that from our being, we call spirit very loudly and they come. So we have a much more instantaneous, gratifying, clear, very validating connection with joy.
It's like tuning a radio channel. The joy is the radio channel that tunes in with the right program because that's what
Yes,
they're living, and then you can hear and communicate better.
it's like a lock and a key. So you think of the person as one thing. You can recollect how much you love someone, but then when you recollect a memory you had with them, that's a whole scenario that still exists that occurred in your past and healed you in the past that you're bringing back to yourself now with that other person. The other thing I love about joy is that it can stimulate laughter, which is even more powerful because laughter is really the music of our joy. It is the coordination of breath, muscle contractions, sound, and joy. That's what laughter is. It's the coordination of all of those beautiful things together to create a rhythmic beating of your vocal cords, your own signature sound in a rhythmic pace and pattern that is only unique to you. And it's a harmonic combination of the joy that was felt between you and this other loved one. So it's like a double helix of joy created by the harmony of the time you had together. It is so healing. If you think about all of the components of the respiratory tract, which include the whole airway, the lungs, the bronchi, the trachea, the larynx, the back of the throat, the oral cavity, the nasal cavities. That's the airway and the soft tissues of the respiratory tract. But the respiratory tract does also consist of a lot of muscles in your body, like the diaphragm, which is the largest muscle of respiration. And then we have all of the muscles in between each rib. There are a whole set of muscles in between each rib that also contract in coordination with your diaphragm when you laugh. This isn't always happening when you just breathe, but during laughter, they're all coordinated together. And all of this pumping action cleanses out the organs. It pumps blood, it pumps lymphatic fluid, it moves the organs, it redistributes fluid in the body, it releases toxins, it can stimulate tears, and it certainly does wonders for the emotions. It cleans out the airway. I don't know about you, but sometimes I get really phlegmy if I'm laughing really hard because my sister makes me laugh. She's still living, but she gets me laughing harder than anybody else, except for my dad, who did too. And especially the day when we were little kids and it was Christmas time. This is the memory I recall of him. And he bought us one of those sleds that you jump on from behind and you can all ride together. He bought us one of those only so he could use it. And he was outside playing with it all day. And we were getting tired. He was playing with us so much. I just remember those times. My dad was the biggest kid we had in the family. I smile and I just laugh, even just thinking of him. Laughter is so healing. When you're having these memories of laughter, you don't actually have to laugh again because recalling the emotional content of what happened in the past brings back all of that healing to you now, whether or not you're actually doubled over laughing now. Even though you may not still think that's funny, your cells remember. Your mind remembers and may not laugh at the same joke 20 times, but your cells remember and they laugh at that joke every time through cellular behavior. They are so much more intelligent than the human mind when it comes to the body. They remember and act on it for you intelligently and psychically when you recall a memory of joy and laughter. This is the first lesson of biological mediumship that I'm sharing with you here. One of the reasons we want it based in joy is because what we're actually going to be doing right now is we are going to be stretching our nervous system to literally draw a neural connection between our body, our nervous system, and a loved one. So it needs to be based in very simple terms the very first time, because we're going to create a neural network that will then become facilitated the more we use it. So the first time we create this network, we want it simple and as loving as possible. While you're getting comfortable, sitting or lying, it doesn't matter what position you're in, because we want this ultimately to be working for you every day during busy life, because that's the whole point of biological mediumship. First, think of who is crossed over. Could be an animal, person, anyone, friend, family. Think of the person. And then I want you to recall a fun, loving, or pleasant memory. If you can't think of a joyful memory, then think of one that is the most positive that you can remember. Because as long as we have a wedge, we can create expansion. I'll give you a moment to do that. Don't worry about being in a meditative state. You don't have to be. This is going to work regardless of whether you're in a meditative state, although you will be drawn into those states the more you do this, and at sometimes you will be and sometimes you won't be. And then once you've got that in mind, be still and close your eyes and take a very deep breath. Feel your body, because remember, we're connecting biology with spirit. So I want you to first start from where you are, which is your body. So deep breath, feeling your breath expand your rib cage, expand your belly, can be through the nose or the mouth. Eyes closed, breathing and feeling the body. Now be aware of your skin on your hands. You can even wiggle them. The skin on your feet, the skin all over your body, your belly, your chest, your back. I want you to be aware of the skin on your face and on your head. Be aware of your skin. And with your eyes still closed, recede inwardly. Imagine yourself receding from that shell of skin into an inner being of you that's hovering inside the outer physical body shell. So you're essentially hovering within your own self. And just get a sense of what that feels like for a second. Your eyes are closed. You keep your physical eyes closed, but I'd like you to open your two inner eyes. Not your third eye, your two inner eyes. See that memory with your two inner eyes playing out in front of you. Do not force it. Just push play and let it go. The reason I say that is because once that memory starts to play, it might change as your loved one disengages from that to greet you. That may happen. But right now, just let that memory play and watch it with your two inner eyes and smile with your inner mouth. If your loved one notices you and steps forward, look them in the eyes and greet them with a hello. If that doesn't happen today, that's okay. It will. And it might have already happened. You just haven't met up with it in space-time yet, meaning you might dream about it tonight, or it might happen in tomorrow's meditation as you do this again in practice. But if that doesn't happen for you now, just visualize your loved one's face directly in front of you, looking you in the eyes. You are looking in the eyes of your loved one, and you are smiling at each other. Notice with your inner eyes as many details of that loved one's face that you can. Do the eyes wrinkle when they smile? What are the features of the face? What color are their eyes? If you hear sound, if you hear them say something, what is the tone of their voice? Notice specific sensory stimulation in this inner version of you, because these are the inner sensory fields that we're stretching into the spirit world. This is just the first step of that. Try to recall as much detail as you can about the voice, about the detail of this particular loved one's face, because we're drawing a neurological connection between this loved one and you, and communicating with them across dimensions in love. Notice how you feel emotionally, intuitively, and physically. Do you feel any tingling? Do you feel any kind of touch from your loved one? Anything at all? What are you feeling, seeing, hearing? What are you tasting? What are you smelling? Notice the sensory stimulations that you are going to neurologically connect to this loved individual in the spirit world. And then take another deep breath, because you want to merge this with your body. You want to merge all these sensory sensations with the physical body by noticing it just a little bit again with your breath. And by the way, not only does the breath pump all your organs, but at the end pockets of your respiratory system, there are something called alveoli that interface with your bloodstream. So you are breathing in the laughter, and the joy is being interfaced and diffused through the capillaries into your bloodstream through these episodes of connection with your loved one. So that's what that breath is. It's that interface, it's that merging point. Then just allow this to occur, and allow it to occur on your own time, as long as you continue enjoying the experience. When things start to fade and you see your loved one's face directly in front of you again, smiling at you, say bye and see you soon. Always say thank you. You have just paved a neural connection to a crossed over loved one in another dimension. Congratulations. Take a deep breath and have your inner self merge back with your physical body. And then you can open your real eyes. This is a new neurological network. So you may not feel the effects of this in this moment, but you may. Make sure to journal and pay attention to your dreams. Specifically, pay attention to your dreams for the next 7 days, and to journal, recreate the memory of this meditation that you did as another exercise for the next 7 days. What's more important than intensity is consistency, because you want a rhythm in your life. You want to create that vibration and rhythm and routine of making sure that this neural network is facilitated. When you're first starting and creating the neurological network, you always want it to be simple and stable. And the laws of vibration and nature, simple is very stable. Nature is very simple, and nature is very stable. So we want to make sure that the first neurological networks that we create are very stable. So choose people with whom you've had a loving relationship, or with whom you can find the most positive memories. Then you can connect from that neural connection. You can connect with crossed over loved ones with whom you'd like to have resolution or forgiveness. If you encounter an episode where you'd like to connect with someone who you remember as being ill, that's totally okay, because it's their health that is alive now. So when you connect with them now, you're connecting with the health of them, pure health, pure vibration. The dis-ease part of them, in body form anyway, that you remember, is totally gone. That's left behind. But it's okay for that to come up, because you want to clear that. So that coming up for you was healing, because now you're getting rid of it, and your memories of your grandfather will now probably be more positive. And you'll find that if you continue to do this and only think of those times of when he's healthy, he's going to come in quicker and more strongly and more clear, and just, it's going to be more efficient. When we're talking about healing ourselves with biological mediumship, an important thing to do, in addition to creating a relationship with spirit across dimensions, is creating a relationship with your cells. We are not our bodies. Our bodies are sentient. Our body is a collection of sentient intelligent cells that have their own individuality. We want to develop a relationship with ourselves. And I have a series of meditations and practices where I take the person into their own biology to actually meet their cells, to become involved in their own healing process. And this is a beautiful thing because then we can distinguish between what we can discard as far as disease goes and what is karmic. What do they need to work through as a soul agreement, let's say, in this lifetime? What needs to stay and be worked through? But in either case, whether it's a disease or an illness that we can clear, or if it's a karmic connection that we can facilitate, two things happen. Either that person clears the disease and or they become involved and take responsibility for the karmic responsibility of healing that helps them live with it much easier. Thank you for joining me for Spirit Call Out. To see images or any visuals that go along with this episode, and to discover more about me and my work, please visit www.osteopathicwell.com. Don't forget to check out Spirit Call Out on the Human Communion YouTube channel that also posts each and every episode. And until next time, I wish you joy.